What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Triple H podcast, Happy Hour Hoops, your one stop shop for enjoying a cold beverage and listening to our ice cold basketball takes. Everything NBA all the time. Dunny here, joined by Jake Micah as always. And yes, it's been crazy March Madness. This is March right now, but the NBA season is
It
still
is
going.
March.
Right around the hot spot of the NBA season too, Jake. You got playoffs closing in, roughly 10 games left for just about, every team, right in that 10 to
Yeah.
15 game spot for every team in the NBA. Things are heating up. Both conferences are tight as all, tight as all get out. And yeah, great time of year for NBA and college hoops.
Well, yeah, like we talked about it last week too. Just the fact that this is the closest that we've had these standings be. Like for the play-in, first of all, is great for the end of season drama. Last year
Yes.
it didn't really manifest that much because the teams in the play-in weren't great. This year it's like the best race. I mean, the best possible version of a race that you could have in both conferences. The 7 seed and the 6 seed are very competitive. So yeah, all these games feel like it. I don't know, man. We've never really had a March feel like this in a long time, where every night it feels like there's a very important NBA game to the standings because teams haven't cared about the standings that much, or there was just such a drop off between the top teams and like even the 4 or 5 seeds and down or whatever, that it was like, all right, well, as long as we're one of the top 2 or 3, it doesn't matter for the good teams. Like, you don't have a night to sleep off in the East. We were talking about the Celtics are
No.
moving right up because they're just winning games, and the rest of the East, you got to keep up. Like the Cavs are in a battle. We'll talk about both those teams later. They're both in their own battles with other East teams that are literally like the same records, and just it's so similar and so close that we're gonna see some major shift. Like we'll get into it later, but there's gonna be a major shift that happens that we haven't foreseen yet because of just how close the nature of these rankings are.
Yeah,
It's gonna
the
be
East
crazy.
is really just doesn't know what to do with the amount of talent it has in it this year. Like, this has just never been the case. It's always the West that has the
No,
juggernauts, and now this year the Eastern
and the
Conference
West is
just
good
has.
too. That's the
Yeah,
thing, though. The
I
West
mean
is
the league's
still,
just in
yeah,
great hands right now for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, so what we're gonna get into today, we're gonna go over some, I guess, some like hot topic things on the NBA that we've seen across the internet over the last couple of weeks, just like different NBA discussions I've seen on socials. Thought it'd be cool to bring to the podcast. Before we get into that, though, a lot of news coming from this weekend and even
yeah.
today. We're recording this on Monday. If you're listening later,
Monday. This,
and
yeah, we'll be live during the 7 o'clock games here. I think we're recording an hour early, so we'll give that note at the beginning.
yeah,
But
Monday,
yeah, keep
March
going.
21st here.
What
But
time?
yeah, we got a
6. We see.
bunch
We
of
can't
news
even
and
say
notes.
times. We can't even give timestamps because we're 2 different times. Just figure, you
Yeah,
guys. Whatever. Keep going. I'm sorry.
that's how Happy Hour Hoops rolls. We're just grinding from two different time zones, baby. But yeah, a
True.
lot of news here. First being Steph could be out until the start of the playoffs. I think
Yeah.
he has like a torn leg or a partially torn ligament in one of his ankles. Marcus Smart rolled up on him going for a loose ball. Celtics Warriors last week. So that's a pretty big blow because right when the Warriors seem to be getting healthy, Draymond back in the lineup, Clay kind of getting his legs back under him, James Wiseman's on the return soon, and now
Yeah.
Steph going down for them. Pretty unfortunate.
Yeah,
But
definitely unfortunate, and it changes just the trajectory of the West and just where that team, you know, Golden State has been around the 2 to like a 4 or 5 seed range, and now without Steph, I mean, they're going to keep sliding, and that's going to be an interesting first round matchup for the Warriors, no matter what. And we're not going to ever really get to see them play together, all these guys together healthy this year. It just hasn't ever worked out that way.
yeah, that's what I've been thinking because even, those few games that Draymond was back and Clay had been back for, at least like a month and a half, 2 months, still seemed a little out of sorts, especially Steph,
Yeah.
because Steph
Oh yeah,
went
for sure.
cold for a while there too.
Yeah, for sure.
So, if they find themselves, I don't know. I feel like the outside of the Suns, I think the West is very much still up for grabs in a lot of the spots there. So, if they find themselves with a tougher matchup in the first round and Steph's not 100% or even worse, is not ready yet, could be bad news for this Warriors team that, kind of looked like it was odds on favorite for most of the regular season here. But yeah, Steph, I think they said he's going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks. So we'll check back in then. Other injuries / people not playing news, Zion and Dame both kind of announced today.
Yeah.
Neither returning. Neither of those really shockers. I think Zion was more surprising to me than Dame. I kind of thought that Dame, when they shut him down,
Zion?
he was going to be done. Yeah. I don't know if we have chubby Zion, fat Zion, skinny Zion right now, but apparently he's not coming back this season. And to me, that was kind of surprising.
Oh, you are surprised? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's good with Zion, to be honest. Like, I just don't know what, like, they're so inconsistent with everything. Like, I don't even know. Like, he looks like he's in shape, and then he's not playing. It's crazy. I don't know. I don't know what to believe anymore with Zion. Yeah, I wish he was playing because they're a fun team and they could use him. That's really that's the only thing I could really think of about Zion. Like, anytime I think about it, it's like, I just wish he was playing because the Pelicans could be doing the Pelicans. How much of a shame is it that Ja is doing and Memphis are doing what they're doing? And if Zion was just playing, it would be the 1 and 2 from that draft would be, those teams would be top 4 teams in the West right now. Like, I have no doubt in my mind. If Zion was healthy and on the court, the way this Pelican team with Ingram and McCollum, that's co-stars. That's what we've been waiting for Zion, or just in general in New Orleans, even with AD. Yeah, like, that's the best supporting cast they've had for a star ever.
I was going to say AD did not have guys like that.
Nah, he had nobody. Drew Holiday. So that was solid, but no one respected Drew Holiday like they do now.
It's tough, man. And honestly, we don't have to spend too much time on a guy who hasn't really even played at all this season. But I kind of just want to hear from Zion a little bit too, because
that's the worst part.
Now you start to wonder, like, is it all because of injury and he's just getting shut down, or is there frustration from his side? Has there been a point in the season where he thought he could come back and management or team doctors were telling him he couldn't? We're not hearing any of that. And then the interesting part of JJ Redick going on ESPN a few months back and saying that Zion is like a really reserved guy, especially for, how talented he is, and definitely, probably the best player on that team. And, there was reports that he didn't text CJ McCollum when he first got there. I don't know. It seems Zion seems distant, and that may just be because we haven't seen him all year or heard from him. But yeah, you hope it's nothing negative and it is just strictly an injury thing. I don't want to speculate too much, but it would be, just nice to hear a thing or two from Zion, but obviously we have not.
Nope. And I don't think we will.
Doesn't seem like
it. Maybe on another Mountain Dew commercial. Maybe that's the next time we'll see him.
Some more endorsements for Zion coming soon, but no playing time. Noted.
No.
Other injury news: Jamal Murray apparently is not close to returning. Coach Mike Malone said that today. Yeah, I feel like last time we were on talking Nuggets with Meerkat, it seems like Jamal was close because he was assigned to the G League team. Usually, that's a good sign, and it means
maybe he
coming
just
back.
Wasn't feeling it, like when Meerkat was talking about, it was the confidence issue they were talking about, and if maybe the Nuggets are and I'll get into Meerkat's point, that the Nuggets are a very cautious organization. They've been cautious with Michael Porter Jr. So maybe they saw Murray with any little bit of doubt that he could do it, and are just like, listen, we don't need you to do this right now. Like, take the summer, like, get healthy. Next year is more important when we have all our guys. Jokic is still gonna be a monster. Like, we'll be okay.
So you think is that what you're anticipating? Do you think that do you think they'll rush him back if they, first round series, or say they make it to the second round? Could you see him coming back then, or do you think they just ultimately shut him down?
I think the fact that they're saying after he was practicing that he's not close, that it's probably like a primer to being when the playoffs come up, the announcement will be Jamal Murray will miss the entire playoffs or something like that, recovering. Like it's just we're there. That's my PR brain, is that this is just a little inkling that we're going to take. They're putting it out there. He's not close. We take that little bit of news for the full on announcement, so it's not blindsiding everybody. You know what I mean?
Letting Nuggets fans down easy.
You would have wanted to hear a better report. You would have wanted to hear progressing in 5-on-5, progressing in 3-on-3, even progressing in shooting like 1-on-1 drills or something like that would have been good to hear.
Yeah, or even saying like
scenario to hear.
Jamal feels good but still not close.
That's what I mean.
Like there was nothing.
Not close. You're like,
oh, just man, not close. Is the quote. Damn.
You just ain't even there. Yeah, no, that's
okay, Michael Malone. But yeah, so tough news for Nuggets fan. And then the last thing before we get into our little debates here around the NBA, power rankings, they come out every Monday from the NBA this week. Pretty similar to the last couple, but Suns still running away with that number 1 in the power rankings. Number 2 is the Miami Heat. 3, the Boston Celtics. 4, the Memphis Grizzlies. And 5, the Milwaukee Bucks. So yeah, I mean, that's the top 5 right there. I think you have teams like the Warriors, Jazz, in the second half. I can't remember the whole 10, but I pulled the top 5 there. 3 teams from the East there, Jake. This is what we're talking about at the top. You know, it's not so much the Western Conference League anymore. Very, very balanced attack from both conferences now.
How do you feel about seeing the Boston Celtics in the 3rd spot after this whole year? It's been a roller coaster of a season for the Boston Celtics, because we started with very high expectations for Boston. Both me and you, we were excited about Ime. Thought that he would bring exactly the culture that he's bringing right now. Like honestly, like we should pat ourselves on the back, because as much as there was, questions throughout the whole season about everything that was going on, this is the vision. This is what we saw before the season. I think everybody kind of thought was best case scenario, a defensive juggernaut. But the thing is, the thing that we should have counted on it, but you just don't know when it's going to happen, is just Tatum figuring it out. Like Tatum he is not forcing it anymore. Like he is letting the game happen in front of him and go from there. And I'm sure that has a lot to do with Ime and the coaching staff and just empowering him and giving him those tools and everything. But that's the biggest shock to me, is just because it's real. Like you should be excited, honestly, and I know that you are, because it's not fake. And it's teams that, and the thing, like, I'm not, like, my biggest belief in all of basketball is the teams that, especially nowadays, if you have a core that can stay together and go through ups and downs, like usually those things pay off if the talent's there. Like we've seen it over and over again in NBA history. The Spurs, the 2014 Spurs are the best example. Like that team did not win a title before then, from when, like 2007 when they beat the Cavs. That was their last title before then. So 7 years in between titles, in Tim Duncan's prime going into his like late prime and all that. And they still were, and I mean, this is a team that had already won championships, whatever. So maybe it's not the same comparison, but I just think like that was the team that was the same core, added a Kawhi piece, battled, went, made conference finals, had that incredible series with Dallas the first year, had the incredible series with OKC in the 2011 conference finals. Like just going through those battles, the Celtics have gone through battles. Like Tatum dunking on LeBron in game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals is still a thing, even though they lost that game. And they only lost that game by 4 points. I never felt good during any point of that game. Like that game was right there for the taking if maybe, Kyrie Irving decided to play basketball that year and do whatever. Yeah. So like that's 4 years ago though. There's another conference finals in there too in the bubble. Like
Brown and Tatum are 25 and 24, and they've been to more conference finals than like most of the conference.
This is what we say everybody's NBA prime is. So I don't understand why everybody has tried to, it's because it's the Celtics, honestly, is why everybody has tried to like stomp them out, because everybody hates the Lakers and Celtics. And it's just what it is.
I get the high standard thing, but it's just like, once people just are just talking and saying things just to
Well,
say
and you know
things.
what it
Like,
was last year too, is that the Knicks were good. And so everybody was like, oh, look it's the Knicks. Look at
yeah,
this shiny thing over here. Like the Knicks are gonna be the next big thing. And we were all like, yo, listen, Julius
they
Randle,
took
like the Julius
Fournier and
Randle
Kemba
thing.
from us, and they thought they were going
Yeah.
to be
Oh
world
my gosh.
champs.
Yeah. And then and then obviously Brooklyn gets deserved recognition and everything else. And you look at this other part of this list, the Heat, they went to the NBA Finals 2 years ago. It's pretty much that same team, except you add Kyle
Mhm.
Lowry. Like that team belongs in this discussion. They're for real. I think nobody wants to play them. And then we don't even have to talk about the Bucks. Like we know what the Bucks offer up.
Yeah,
But I just think like I'm not surprised to see the Celtics there, but it's just been such an interesting journey. Not even just this year, but if you really look back at the whole Tatum and Brown partnership, and I really just go back to that 2018 series, just watching it so closely, obviously as a Cavs fan, and just you were terrified of them then, and so it's just to be in this point, it's not that surprising if you really like look at it objectively without the ups and downs and the recency bias that NBA media. What NBA media overreacts to recent play? There's no way, no
yeah,
way.
that must be
So
new.
that's just.
It's a
So I
new
was saying, like the
glitch.
Warriors, like everybody loved the Warriors. Why did we love the Warriors? Because they drafted all three of their guys and they naturally, organically came up. Like the Celtics have done this. Like they didn't do it. You didn't sign no free agents. The biggest free agent signing is Al Horford. That man was already, he was there already.
Yeah,
He's coming back. Like
seriously.
it's all like, it's literally a home build team. They even traded out of the number one pick. Like
For
these are
Tatum,
all
which
things
is
that you would
still
never
so
like.
crazy.
It's the
Yeah.
finesse of the century.
Well,
is
what
it is.
I'll go on my Celtics.
It's
rant when we
abusing
get to
Magic
the,
Johnson. It's abusing Yeah, that was my Celtics rant because
Yeah, I'm happy.
I'm
I love
sold
this.
now. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like any of these teams in the East, including this, like the Celtics, everybody's gonna say before the playoffs start, oh, the Celtics been on this hot run, but how real is it? Like this shit's 5
Yeah.
years in the making. It's not this year.
Peaking too early. I've heard it all.
It's a team that has battled with the Heat, with the Celtics, with the Nets, with the Sixers, with every iteration of them already. Like there's going to be no surprises. So that's my Celtics positivity for the day. Let's get into our takes here though. What do we got first here?
Yeah, so I saw this one. I think I saw this one in a Twitter like comment section. So I was digging deep. I was in an NBA Twitter rabbit hole. It was an old clip of D Rose, and someone said Hall of Fame or not, and then people were just going. So that's the question I leave with you, Jake. Derrick Rose, Hall of Fame or not if he retired today?
The NBA Hall of Fame, all things considered, is a little more lenient than like say the NFL. Definitely more lenient than the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yes,
that's a whole different story though. I think D Rose, yeah, I think I would put him in the Hall of Fame. And when it comes to Hall of Fame cases for me, I really just want to see like your impact. I don't care if you're a star for 10 years and getting all these things. Like Derrick Rose for maybe a 4-year stretch. That's probably what it was the most electric basketball player on planet Earth. While Kobe and LeBron, like Kobe was in his late prime and LeBron was in his full prime. Like we were talking about Derrick Rose, and he won an MVP over LeBron. And whether he should have won that MVP over LeBron's one thing or another, whatever, he still won that MVP. And he was still, even the years that he didn't reach that peak, was still easily a top 10 player in the NBA. And then has turned his career around and become a great role player for a lot of teams. I think he's in. I don't know. It's probably going to be very close, very, very close. But I just think the impact that he had at the top, and just the fact that he was the next, like what happened with Steph is probably what should have happened with D Rose if he doesn't hurt his knee. And I remember exactly where I was watching that when that happened. Like that's how much of an imprint it stuck on me. Like I had to be watching that game, obviously, but I remember watching it and thinking in my head, like, it's so sad for a guy that is so explosive. Like you don't ever want to see that. And if it happens 10 years later, like, is it even the same? Like, does he come back fine because medical advancements have gone so crazy like the last 10 years? Like Cam Akers came back in 4 months from an Achilles, bro, or 6 months, whatever. Like things are crazy now. And even 10 years ago, that wasn't happening. So I don't know. I think you got to put him in just on the impact.
Yeah. I mean, it is crazy just how youngest MVP in NBA history. And just at that time, like he literally just took the NBA world by storm. Like I feel like whether you were a Bulls fan or not, you rooted for Derrick Rose because he was just so fun to watch. No one was like, there was no Westbrook at that time. Like no one was that explosive then. Especially from the guard position.
Do you remember the Bulls Heat, the Sunday afternoon game when they snapped the record? That game is probably the best regular season basketball game I've ever watched in my life. I'm gonna send the highlights to you at some point. But it was a Sunday afternoon, like ABC. I think I know what you're talking about. But. The Heat were at 27, I think. Was at 27 wins in a row or whatever it was. And it was in Chicago. And the Bulls, I think they broke the record that day. One of the best D Rose performances I've ever. Like I was cheering for LeBron, obviously, the whole day. And just terrified of D Rose. Like I've never felt. The only person I can compare it to is Steph. Like that's the only person I can compare being that afraid of. And he deserves that. He's just so
captivating. Even like I had one of my like best friends at the time and still now, he isn't a huge NBA guy. Celtics fan first, and when we were at that age, like in middle school when D Rose was doing this, like he was his favorite player. He got like a signed D Rose jersey, I'm pretty sure, and
that's crazy.
Like he wasn't even a basketball fan. Like that's just how much like we played 2K all the time, and he was like D Rose, like that. He was just that dude. So yeah, I mean, I guess that was a long answer for me to agree with you, but yeah, I think he's gonna get in, and it's something that everyone loves to say about the NBA and NBA players getting in the Hall of Fame is that it's the Basketball Hall of Fame. It's not the NBA Hall of Fame. And what D Rose did to the sport of basketball, that and like just what he did to the game of basketball is crazy. And also, I had to look this up because someone in this Twitter comment section where I found this question was saying that every player who's won the MVP has been inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. I didn't know if that was true. I looked it up. It is true. So, I mean, if the first person that we're going to leave out
it can't be
was going to be D Rose, like that seems crazy to me.
It can't be. There's no. Yeah, I can't stand by that.
I honestly wasn't going into this. I wasn't sure where I was going to lean in this conversation, but like I just feel like he has to be like there's people. There's people who've gotten in who are more questionable. So
for sure,
D Rose, Hall of Famer as far as Happy Hour Hoops is concerned.
Happy Hour Hoops Hall of Famer for sure.
Okay, Jake, I don't want to upset you by reading this next question. This was actually your question.
This is because I don't know. I don't know the
answer. All right, let's hear it.
Is LeBron James a good or bad teammate? Donnie, I want to hear your thoughts first. Honestly, I want to hear it's probably a little biased LeBron observer, but I'm a very biased LeBron observer. But I don't think that I'm all a team LeBron and all these things. So, I'm ready for it.
First, the only time I was ever like super biased against LeBron was definitely Miami Heat days. Like I'm not gonna lie. I just hated LeBron. I didn't even like. I know Celtics fan that hated him when his first go around with the Cavs. I did not mind him at all then. I respected him going back to Cleveland.
One of my worst sporting memories before the 10 finals that LeBron I got to enjoy was the 2010 Celtics Cavs series. I think that's really where the hatred started because Cavs fans just felt a special type of way after that, but. That was a bad game. I remember that. Yeah, I can feel that. What I felt when LeBron, he's tearing off the jersey. That's another thing. I could see that live time in my head right now, and I was like, man.
Yeah, that hurts. That's tough. Yeah. Well, those were some battles in those days. That was like I love that part of the NBA is so nostalgic for me. But yeah, so the Miami Heat days is the only time I've ever been biased towards LeBron. And I can't say that he was a bad teammate then because he was literally like the best player to grace the earth at that time. And here we are years later, still in that conversation for best in the world. I think this is the only time in LeBron's career where you may be able to look at him and say that he's being a bad teammate. Overall for his career and like even, like everything outside of these last couple months, I would argue against this, but I don't know, man. There's just something weird and wrong and off about this Lakers team. There's people exposing him on all types of social media, after every game, and there's just clear evidence of like him not getting back on defense, him like shaking his head after a teammate misses an open jump shot. Like it's just the body language for me. I think that's the only reason you could say that. But, to say this about LeBron for, as a whole or for his career, no way, because I mean, he's one of the best passers the league's ever seen. He's always been a guy who gets his teammates involved.
Well, that's because he's afraid of the big moment, if you ask Skip Bayless.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think I can get myself to say that. I respect how great he is and what he's done for the game too much to say this. I think he looks like it lately. I will say that. If people want to say that this version of LeBron is a bad teammate right now, I'd listen to that. But overall, no.
I think he's had a lot of bad teammate experiences. I think overall, if LeBron's your teammate, like he's shown that he will go above and beyond for team, like host these dinners, all these different things, like camaraderie. Like he's tried to do all that stuff a lot of times. But like couple examples, I'm getting deja vu right now. I don't know why. A couple examples of 2015 when he went to Miami for like a 2-week spell with Dwayne Wade while he was on the Cavs. And that was kind of like seen as a shot at the Cavs roster, and David Blatt getting fired after that and everything. You know what? Maybe this is just LeBron is not as much of a bad teammate. He's obviously a coach killer. And I think that comes along with this discussion because he's the coach, right? So like only certain coaches really are like down to like either challenge him. Like Ty Lue was the only guy that ever really been able to get to him. Mike Brown, he didn't really respect. Spoelstra definitely he respected, but that's just because it was the institution. It's Pat Riley. Like you're not telling Pat Riley no. And Spoelstra is basically Pat Riley.
And Wade was there. I feel like Wade probably checked him some days on those teams.
Yeah. And I mean, now it's a frosty relationship with Riley and James too after he left. So I guess it didn't really work out. But I think that especially like, and that's why you brought up the last couple months. That's what's made me think of it. This year, definitely, like he's just checked out of this team, and it's partially his fault. And I'm sure that that's part of what it is too. Is he knows that it's his fault. He's never going to admit that publicly, but he's not a stupid guy. He knows he brought in Westbrook. He knows that Malik Monk is been okay, but like the guys that they brought in to fill out the roster are basically his guys, like clutch guys or guys that he know, like whatever to fill it out. And it's just not a good squad. Like it's no. And I think as much of it is just bad morale around the whole team because they know that they're not good. And LeBron James, this is what he can do with a roster that he has to carry is get him to 30 and 41 in the West because the league is just he's not 26 anymore. But this team is just bad, bro. I think that's why he's a bad teammate this year. Like they are just not good. Like you watch them and you're just like, oh my God, like there's nobody.
Yeah, you could just collectively say that they're all this bad group teammates. Is just a group of bad teammates. Yeah.
But I think he's had his pockets in the past in Cleveland. The more recent years since leaving Miami, since he really started his power plays, like the first thing he did when he signed with the Cavs was leave Andrew Wiggins and Anthony Bennett out of his letter when we didn't know that they were getting traded for Kevin Love yet. That's not a great. I mean, even if the moves happening, you just don't mention anybody by name. Like got to do something like that. Like just a little.
You could have acted like you didn't know the deal was happening.
Like it hadn't even come out yet. We're just finding out you're signing with the team and you're already trading away the number one pick in your article. So there's just things like that. Like he's a very self-involved human being. I think that's a good and bad thing. I don't think you could blame him for being it because he's literally been told he's the chosen one and then delivered on everything that he's done. Like when you have that, and now he's the most famous person in the world or one of them, that's not a normal existence. So like, I love when people try to like rationalize for like super famous people. I'm like, yo, listen, we have no idea like
just
what
live
their
a different
life.
life.
They just live a completely different world. So
yeah,
I think that's part of the thing with LeBron is that he is like, obviously he is egotistical in ways and such like that, but it's like how could you not be when you do all that? And he does all these good things too and everything else. Like it's kind of hard to break through to those people and tell them they're wrong. And at this point in LeBron's career,
especially the people who say like you're not bigger than basketball, but like he is. He quite literally is bigger than basketball.
Like you said, the one name. When we talked about this before, wasn't it the one name conversation we had where you had the guys that have one name? LeBron is one of those dudes. Like LeBron is one name.
And that's outside of sports too. Like LeBron is like you know that everywhere. The only last thing I was gonna say is it's interesting you brought it up. You know, you're kind of just talking about like coaches that were able to check him, and it was really only Ty Lue. And like, so maybe like some bad relationships stem from that. But that just goes into what I was just saying about like him being bigger than basketball, because I remember when Rondo first got traded to the Mavs right after he left the Celtics, and him and Rick Carlisle butted heads. And it was because of how intelligent of a basketball player Rondo was. And he just thought he knew the game better than everyone. And like, you know, that's Rajon Rondo. Think about that with LeBron James. Like LeBron knows the game better than everyone. So, you know, of course, maybe there's ways that he could go about it better in certain situations. And I don't know if that's true. Or maybe people are just intimidated by it. And coaches they're literally there, they get paid to coach, like a guy like Frank Vogel. But, you know, he's not going to step on LeBron's toes, dude. Like if LeBron James is saying to do something on a basketball court, most people who are playing the sport of basketball or around the game are going to listen. So
for sure.
Bad teammate, I don't think so. Rocky situation for the Lakers right now, though.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other thing. But all right, what's our next one here?
Next one is this is where I might get fired up. Nick Wright, or Nick Wrong, as I like to call him.
This is what I love is that because we Bills fans have a special relationship with Nick Wright, as he is the biggest Josh Allen hater on the planet, and I love that he's bringing it over to the Boston Celtics now, and your guy, we can just share in this. Yeah.
So Nick Wright, I mean, he for sure, like, he does this to get people's attention. Like, I don't believe that he believes this, what I'm about to read. Anyway, last week, or maybe even a little over a week ago at this point, he made a list, players better than Jason Tatum, and he listed 17.
That's a lot.
This is crazy. Like, maybe at the beginning of the season, if he said this, I would bite. But Tatum is having an unbelievable year. I think he's like 5th in the NBA's ranking for MVP right now. Yes. So obviously, you know, not at the top of the discussion, but he's there. And this is Nick Wright's list that he said on national TV. LeBron James, Giannis, Durant, Luka, Jokic, Embiid, Steph. Fine with all those. Kawhi, I don't know if we can say that right now. Like, Kawhi hasn't even played.
He hasn't played in a while.
Yeah. But I get it. Career, like, yeah, okay. Kawhi. AD, no. I don't think that's true.
No.
Dame, no. Harden, I'll listen to. Donovan Mitchell, no. Booker, no. I would listen to that, but I don't think we talked.
We'll get into those. I'm saying no to Harden though. We're done. I'm going to get you off of Harden.
Yeah, actually, I'll just finish the list and then I'll give mine and then we can talk about it. And then Morant, Chris Paul, Paul George, another guy who hasn't played this season, and Jimmy Butler was his 17. And then he said Tatum could be the 18th best player in the NBA. Which is just so crazy to me. Okay, I'll give you want me to give my list now?
There's only 2 things that I think I would switch around, but I want to hear where you're coming from here. Okay, so my list is this right here. LeBron James, Giannis, Kevin Durant, Embiid, Jokic. Oh, I wrote Embiid twice. How silly of me. Embiid, Jokic, Steph, Harden, Luka. I'm leaving out guys who haven't played this season. Like Kawhi, I think if Kawhi was playing, sure, put him there. But like,
Dame and Paul George aren't
No,
playing right now. I don't think they're better than Tatum.
I wouldn't put him there anyways, even if they were playing. The way Jason Tatum's playing, he just does more than Damian Lillard does. And that's, Dame puts up 60 points all the watch Jason Tatum just play
Yeah, Tatum
basketball.
puts
Like
up
a
62.
whole game of basketball. It's not that too. But the scoring is one thing though, but it's Tatum's defense and rebounding that is like he does everything.
And now his playmaking.
And his playmaking now too. That's what's happened this year. But people just look at Tatum and they just have the Kobe wannabe stuck in his head still, when it's just not. It's the furthest thing from the truth anymore. It really is. He's more Kawhi than he is Kobe at this point. Like that's his style of play. Like he's just everywhere. And so is Jalen too. That's the scary thing. Is that they're both so similar. Like Tatum's obviously better, and he's a better playmaker than Jalen is too.
There's literally people on Nick Wright's list that Jalen's better than, let alone Tatum. So I don't even know what's going on here. Yeah, I mean that's my solid list. Like I can absolutely agree with that. And
I can't agree with James Harden.
Yeah, I think you could talk me off that. I just know that I will get absolutely blasted if I believe that in wholehearted truth. Even though I do deep down, I can understand it. But like, dude, Tatum's more efficient than James Harden.
Yeah, I'm out on Harden.
And he
just at this point, I think it's down.
He could defend better.
But I am putting Ja ahead of Tatum. I am going to do that. That's the one I'm sticking with. That was the only person I thought was missing here. I don't really we don't have to talk through that too much. It's just Ja is really like, I would love to have Steve on here to argue Ja Luka, because I had a text conversation a couple weeks ago and I picked Ja there and I was very surprised. And the Steph conversation, if he's going to start getting hurt all the time, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too highly of Ja Morant, but I don't think that's possible at this point, to be honest. Like, I'm very terrified of. I've still got my Grizzlies futures, and I mean, they've just kept rolling, and I just feel like there's such a bad matchup. I don't know. We don't have to go into the Grizzlies, but Ja is the guy that I would put ahead there. I was trying to think. You said somebody else too that I was thinking about. What could you name like
Booker?
The last 6 of that list? Booker and Mitchell. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not putting Booker.
So
and
where I think it starts to get dicey is after Steph. He says Kawhi, AD, Dame, Harden, Mitchell, Booker, Morant, CP3, PG, and Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is crazy, dude. Tatum literally does.
That is crazy.
And Jimmy Butler's fantastic. The only thing
maybe Jimmy Butler better 3
than
years
Tatum
ago
though is energy. Like Butler is like a step down from Tatum and everything, but has the same mentality as Marcus Smart.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy's probably a better passer. He's done the playmaking thing for a couple of years now. But Tatum has,
and I'll even give him that.
It's probably like close at this point now, because Lowry's really running the show there for everything, and Bam's even really running the show from the post and everything. I would say my list here: LeBron, Giannis, KD, Embiid, Jokic, Steph, Ja, Luka, Tatum. I think that's what I would do.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with it. I don't know, man. I just think, obviously, I think Nick Wright does this for clicks and, everything else in between. I just had to see if I was crazy or not. I'm definitely going to clip this, our conversation, and put it on TikTok or something, get roasted by people who hate Boston.
That's what we need. No, we'll roast them back. That's what we should start posting controversial things to just go off on people in the TikTok comments.
Yeah.
I think that would be a fun pastime. All right, we got a couple more here. What do we got next?
Yeah, so I mean, this is something we talked about a little bit with the news, because all these guys being injured and stuff. And I guess actually I did want to break some news here, because I'm going to put the Bulls on this list. I know we did our news section at the top, but here, let me read it so I don't make any mistakes here. Woj retweeted this. Lonzo Ball will stop running on his knee for the next 10 days, per Billy Donovan. They've been trying to ramp him up, but he hasn't responded well. So
what was his injury again?
I believe
a meniscus tear.
I thought it was just soreness in his knee. But it seems like him trying to get back is not doing so well. So it seems like they're just doing like a pause.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good.
Yeah, so
That's like
to,
earlier with the thing we were talking about with the Murray thing. Like you hope your coach at least says it is a meniscus. It is taking a step back in meniscus recovery.
Yeah.
Unlikely he's back before regular season ends.
Oof.
That's crazy. He must have some swelling or something that is just not going down that they need to address. But this is a guy that's had knee issues, obviously. So I want to keep monitoring that. So yeah, the Bulls. Yeah, include the Bulls in this.
Yeah, we'll include the Bulls in this section, and this is just which of these teams will be the best once they're at full strength. So a lot of teams who are missing key guys. We talked about the Nuggets with Jamal Murray, but we don't know if he's going to be back now. Warriors without Steph at the moment, and James Wiseman still trying to get back into their lineup. And then the other teams would be the Clippers without PG and Kawhi. No idea when either of those guys are returning, if at all, this season. The Brooklyn Nets with, Simmons apparently has a bit of an injury now and isn't really running. And we thought he might be in the lineup.
He has a herniated disc, apparently, and that's why he got the epidural a couple weeks ago. So he's still kind of on the same timeline that they had him on. They think he could come back before the playoffs, but I'm sure it's going to be like we're going to be cutting it close. Herniated disc isn't a great thing to have trying to come back. But that's, at least it shows that his back issues were not, all the people that were like, does he really have a back issue? All that thing. Like, dude clearly wasn't lying about it. Like,
it was
there was some kind of stiffness. He tried to ramp it up and he got injured. And so it's good that they figured out what the deal is, and hopefully he gets whatever he needs to get done, and it all works out, because herniated is not fun. He's probably not moving around very well right now.
And then I guess you could, obviously Kyrie still part-time player, so there's that to consider.
That's true.
The Phoenix Suns, no Chris Paul, and then let's add in the Chicago Bulls. Lonzo, probably won't be back until the playoffs. Patrick Williams. Did Patrick Williams just come back, or is he just practicing?
He's practicing with the Windy City Bulls.
Okay,
so he's on track. I'm putting the Cavs here too, who are just riddled with injuries.
Yeah, that was disrespectful.
I'm not picking them as the best team out of it, but they are a team without Jared Allen and Colin Sexton, Ricky Rubio, all sorts of people.
Yeah,
Dean Wade out today. Now another injury got added. Dean Wade. I don't even like Dean Wade that much. I'm like, come on,
we need someone. We need bodies.
My best team. I'm shout out Meerkat. I'm going with the Nuggets, because I think if Murray and Porter were healthy all year, they'd be the 1 seed in the West. The way Jokic is playing, like Jokic has been so good for the last 2 years now, and he just needs his boy. He needs his running mate next to him. We know how electric Jamal Murray is. We got the hint of it. I still think that guy's in there somewhere, especially in a playoff scenario. So he needs his guys back. I'm going with the Nuggets. What about you? The Nets are hard to pick against, but I'm going with them.
And I'm not picking them.
Oh, wow. Which one? Oh, I don't know where you're going then.
I'm going with the Clippers, dude.
That's true. You know what? Because Kawhi and PG are still just –
dude, they are –
and they're still –
they're how many games ahead of the Lakers are they? They're 5 games ahead. They're 5 games ahead of the Lakers. 5 games ahead of the Lakers, and they don't have Kawhi or PG. That's impressive.
It is.
That's really impressive. Well,
Tyler
it's not impressive that they're
coach.
Ahead of the Lakers.
Well, yeah, that's right.
But it's impressive that they're the 8th seed without PG and Kawhi.
Ty Lue is a great coach, and they do have a good roster there. That's always been the thing about the Clippers, is even outside of those guys, they've been built well for a while.
Yeah.
It's just next year the Clippers, they might be the favorites in the West with Kawhi and PG come out and look healthy right away.
Yeah,
like they're terrifying.
Reggie Jackson, Terrence Mann,
Terrence Mann's been awesome
Marcus
again
Morris,
this year.
dude. Yeah, I really like their supporting cast. It'll be interesting to see, dude. Like, imagine we get to play in tournament time, and all of a sudden, PG's just like ready to go.
That's true, and that Ballmer, like they've probably accepted that this is kind of a wash year with Kawhi's ACL tear and everything, but Ballmer's ready to get back out there. They're coming. The new arena's on the way. Like the West is wide open. He's there. They might be a big splash candidate in the offseason, honestly, because the winning window is now for PG and Kawhi.
That guy's gonna have steam coming out of his ears in no time on the sideline.
Oh man, a Suns Clippers first round series, very much on the table, which would be very
Yeah.
fun if Paul George came back, as that was the Western Conference Finals last year, which is kind of nutty. Yeah, but I'm going with the Nuggets. I wish Murray was playing. It's kind of crazy that they're in the
Me
seventh
too.
spot right now. That's the last team I would want to see in the play-in if I was a Western Conference. The Clippers Nuggets right now.
Seriously.
Clippers are like, damn, guess we're getting ready for game 2 here.
Yeah.
Are you ready for Lakers Clippers 8-9 play-in elimination game from Staples? With
Yeah.
the Clippers
I
court,
would
not
love
even
that.
the Lakers court.
Oh my God. That'd be grand.
But it's gonna be all
We need
Lakers fans.
that.
It's gonna be all yellow in the stands.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It's gonna be your Clippers home game. That's what we
Man.
need. That,
Yeah,
and then it'll be
the West
hopefully-
play-in right now is more intriguing than like any of the playoff matchups over there. To
Yeah.
me, I'm very excited to see. Honestly, the play-in for both
Which is the fact that you're
conferences.
having LeBron in a 9-10 seed, potentially trying to sneak his way into the playoffs, with Anthony
Yeah.
Davis potentially coming back, and maybe Russell Westbrook kind of figuring some things out. Had 2 good games. You never know. I don't have a lot of faith, but you never know. That is going to be very interesting.
So yeah, there's just way too much coming down.
So what's up
at the
with
end of the
Pop here
season.
then? What is he doing?
Oh yeah, I guess this is great segue actually. Pop and the Spurs have a chance to spoil the Lakers season as
How
we
is
know
this?
it, because they are the 11 seed right now, and they're 2.5 games back on the Lakers.
They could catch that quick.
They could catch
That's nothing.
It seems like that would be a heavy task because, like I said at the beginning, right around only 10 games left. We don't really know how this is going to shake out, but I feel like that would just be poetic. I mean, there's not really much of a debate for us to have here. I just wanted to throw that in. It's something else I also saw on Twitter today.
That shit would be crazy.
Yeah.
What do they do play? Do they play again this year? They do not play again this year. The Lakers' last game of the season is in Denver, which is not a good last year of the season that you want to play. I do not think. The Lakers stretch, honestly. They're in Cleveland in about 10 minutes. We're going back into the future here. So actually, right now, if you're watching this, it's live right now, probably end of the first quarter. Hopefully the Cavs are up by a lot. Cleveland, they play the Sixers, Pelicans, whatever. Mavs, Jazz, Pelicans again. Nuggets, Suns, Warriors, Thunder, second to last game, Nuggets. That's a tough schedule to wrap the season with. And those Pelicans games are playoff games. Like, I mean, the Pelicans aren't very good, but neither are the Lakers. Like, those are play-in playoff games. They pretty much play a playoff game the rest of the way, except the Thunder. So,
okay, and I'll let you decide what you want us to end with here, because we'll just take one of these last two things because we're running a little long. But should I give my hot take to the people, or do you want to end with Homer Corner, or where we talk about the Cavs and the Celtics, or we could do that next show
I'm good with all of it.
Do a check-in.
I mean, we've done a lot of Cavs and Celtics. I think the biggest Cavs thing I have is, if you're watching this game, hopefully LeBron isn't ruining our lives. This is the first time I've ever cheered against LeBron, so I feel like you guys have felt for 20 years.
Also, my hot take slightly has to do with the Celtics, but
so let it ride. Let's finish off with the hot take. Let's let it ride.
To me, in my humble opinion, I think that Robert Williams is better than Rudy Gobert. And that's what I'll say. I mean,
you were worried about your Tatum takes, and you're coming out your stuff.
Yeah,
Listen, but the thing is, this is the safest place to be anti-Jazz that you could be on the internet. I think we've established that, so I'm good with this. I honestly think I'm not there yet, but like, I really couldn't argue it once it was laid out in front of me. The argument, I was like, you know what, it's kind of good. It's kind of compelling.
Yeah,
let's see how Time Lord does in the playoffs this year in his first big role, because that's the thing with Gobert. He ain't doing shit in the playoffs. We already know. Like, that he's like James Harden. Gobert and James Harden are the same, one and the same in that. That's how I feel about Rudy Gobert in the playoffs.
this is how I'll support my take, because obviously there's going to be, I'm going to clip this too, and I know
Yeah,
I'm
you
going to
got
get
it.
roasted. But my thing is, if you're just looking at stats, of course, Gobert averages 15 and a half and 14 and a half. So 15 points, 14 rebounds. Rob only averages 9 and 9, or pretty much 10 and 10 for Rob, and 2 assists. Rudy Gobert has 1 assist. So a little better of a playmaker for Rob. Blocks are dead even. Steals, Rob has the advantage. But my whole thing is, last year in the playoffs when Utah played the Clippers, a banged up Clippers team, they would just go 5 wide and they would expose Rudy Gobert.
Yeah,
When
that's all that's
when
gonna
the
happen.
Celtics match up defensively, we put Robs on wings and guards. He can
Yeah.
guard the perimeter. That is something Gobert, and that's just defensively. That is something Gobert cannot do at all. And
That's
Gobert
true.
is a way bigger focal point of the Jazz's offense than Rob is on ours. He catches lobs, and we don't really ask him to do much of anything else. So I think if push came to shove, like if someone asked me, I wake up tomorrow, someone tells me we can have Rudy Gobert or Robert Williams on the Boston Celtics, I'm keeping Robert Williams. That's just how I see it.
I would too. I'm not arguing with that for sure.
Well, that is my.
We're on the same. We're almost on the same board on this hot take. So we'll just let the universe decide how they want to deal with it. But
yeah, let's go.
I ain't no Rudy Gobert supporter, so I love Time Lord. Here's what I'm not with though. I'm with you with that. Grant Williams isn't allowed to be Batman though. He does not earn Batman.
It's funny.
He is Rob. He's like one of the lower Robins. He ain't even like a regular Robin. Like he's like second rate Robin. He's got to earn some shit.
I love that Tatum just
I love Grant. Too. Good. That's what I was hoping from a leader in the locker room.
Tatum literally was like, Tatum was literally like, he played great tonight, but I'm not calling him Batman. That's also just number one rule of nicknames. Like you can't declare your own nickname.
Name yourself, and then you're gonna call yourself Batman.
Yeah.
And you're Grant Williams. Like that's just ballsy. Like I do respect the hustle, and that's a very Grant Williams move, to be honest. Knowing everything I know about Grant Williams, but no, Grant, you're not allowed to have that, and it made me upset.
Love that.
All right, well, that's it. Follow us at Happy Hour Hoops 1. Subscribe to the podcast. We'll be back with some March Madness tomorrow, getting ready for the weekend. Then I'm going to the beach, so I don't know what's going to happen with Happy Hour Hoops. Y'all can do whatever. Maybe we'll burn the internet down. That would be nice. Do something. Hopefully get some buzzer beaters this weekend. I'll get some beach March Madness content, though, because I am bringing my iPad for games.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, have to. I can't be staying away for too long. And the Cavs play the Raptors, too, Wednesday night. That's a playoff game right there, bro. It's going to be nerve-wracking.
Yes, it is. Jake's going to have some legit Happy Hour Hoops updates coming. He's going to be hitting Happy Hour on the beach.
All day is Happy Hour.
Watching March Madness on Island Time.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah. Follow us on socials, guys. Mostly Twitter for all the March Madness stuff. We'll be tweeting along with the games as always. And stay tuned to the Triple H podcast, guys.
Have a good one. If I can
figure out.